just to top it up. And you can see it's already going white. Too late. Hey, welcome back to my channel. It's Wendy here from Toonpish Crafts, and I hope you're doing okay. Now, I absolutely love bright colours. You know, the brighter the better for me, and neons are definitely bright colours. I don't do a lot with neons, and I really should do more. I know Claire at Claire's Crafty Corner has been playing around with neons, and this video was actually filmed at the same time, and I messaged Claire and said, you know, we're playing with neons at the same time. It's just the way it goes. Anyway, go check out Claire's channel. She's an amazing artist. But I'm going to play around with some neons. These are Let's Resin Frog and Newt moulds. Now, they've been out for quite some time, and I've actually had them in my stash of moulds for quite a while. I think about 18 months. I'm going to use some glass eyes. You can get them most places and they're very cheap, but they should really be glass. If they're glass, you can get rid of any issues with resin later on. I'm also going to use some Let's Resin UV resin, and I'm drawing on the back of these eyes where the iris is. If you hold the eye up to a light source, you'll be able to see the dark line, and then you can draw on the back where the dark line is. That way you know exactly which way the eye is facing. That's so I can get them in the right place when I put them in the mould with the UV resin. So I'm putting a tiny bit of UV resin in the eye socket of the mould. I'm then positioning with tweezers the eye. I did have to buy these eyes special for these pieces, as the eyes I had were quite large and they just didn't fit. I couldn't get them in the position at all. So I had to order some smaller ones. I'm then flash curing it with a torch. This is just a UV torch, and all that will do is hold the eye in place so that I can then put it under the curing lamp. I'm going to do both eyes before it goes under the curing lamp, because I figured what's the point in just doing one at a time. That's why I flash cured it. It needs to be held in place, but that's about it really. I use my long neck lighter to get rid of any surface bubbles before I put the eye in, and I'm trying really hard to position it in the exact opposite to the one in the other socket. You really don't want wonky eyes when you're doing something like this. If you've got wonky eyes, it will throw everything out. Eyes are the most important thing with any creature, animal, human. If you haven't got that right, you're going to want to throw that piece in the bin, and we don't want that, do we? Then I pop the newt under the curing lamp, and I do exactly the same with the frog. And I'm actually not sure I want these eyes facing in this direction, but I've done it now. Once I've got my eyes done, then I'm going to grab the Let's Resin epoxy resin. This video is sponsored by Let's Resin, and everything I use in this video will be listed in the description box below, and don't forget I have that discount code for 10% off. I've mixed up my 2-part epoxy resin, and I'm going to put some into the moulds. Now, I'm not filling it to the top. I'm literally just going up to basically where the legs start. That's basically where I'm going to, where the legs start. Now, the newt has obviously quite a lot of a tail, and I'm happy for the resin to go along the tail, but not up to the top of the mould. I'm going to do something else with these pieces, but for now, it's just 2/3 full with clear resin. I spray it with isopropyl alcohol, and I leave them to cure. "24 hours later, and they are all cured up. And I'm going to get the neon colours out. Now, this is Let's Resin pack of neon colours. There are some amazing colours in here. Quite a lot of red and pink and orange tints. But you have a green, a yellow, a beautiful white, blue, purple, and a red as well. And I'm going to use that red somewhere else, I think. For now, I've picked green, yellow and orange. Now, you know I don't like green. I'm really not keen on green, but green is a great neon colour. So, as it's a frog, I've decided to go green, yellow, orange. Now, the orange doesn't really fit, but, you know, I like colour. And I'm just dusting the top of the resin and round the outside edge of the mould. I've started with green, I'm carrying on with yellow, and I'll put the orange in a little later. Now this resin has cured, it's not sticky, and this powder doesn't act the same way as mica. So although it will go where I want it to, I wanted to see if I could dust it like mica. I'm doing it quite liberally, I'm using a lot of colour. And I'm sorry my head is in the way, but I'm trying to see around the inside of the lip of the mould to make sure it is coloured completely. It does stick to the silicone nicely, however, but as I said, this resin has cured, it's not sticky. So I'm hoping that this will work, but I'm really not sure. That orange is an amazing bright colour, it really is eye-popping. The yellow is yellow how you would expect yellow to be, and green is always an amazing colour, but I'm only putting a little bit in because I don't like green. I am literally just covering as much area as I can with this powder. I've not blown off the excess yet. I am trying really hard to cover the mould, and it's doing quite a good job, but I have no clue if this is going to work. I did decide to go on and paint the toes green because I know frogs are green, so I just had to bite the bullet really. When I've covered the area, I did take it out of sight and blow off the excess. Now then you could see what areas were missing colour. So I just packed loads more colour in those little areas. Honestly, I was quite surprised how well it stayed. The yellow and the orange, I wanted a little bit more merging. So I decided to put a bit more yellow and take out a little bit more orange to try and merge the colours together a little bit more. I still wasn't perfectly happy with the coverage of the powder. So that's when I thought, how else can I put the colour in here? What else can I do to help the colour stay where I want it? It's decent coverage, but it needed something else. Moving on to the nude. And I'm going to use purple as one of the colours, and I'm basically doing the same thing. Now I know you don't want to sit through the same thing because it's the same thing, but the colours are spectacular, I've got to tell you that. The second colour I'm going to use is magenta, and I did have a little bit of an issue trying to get the foil lids off of these things, but then I'm getting old, so trying to get the lid off anything these days is a struggle. And the last colour I'm going to use in the nude is blue. I just thought he needed to be brighter and more colourful, and I really didn't want to put green in here. So I thought I'd go for a spaced out nude. I decided to put the purple in the end of his tail just to make it a little different. And I also put the purple in his feet as well. Again, just to break up the colour. Only using 3 colours though. A wise woman once told me, when you're doing anything colourful, only use 3 colours. If you use more than that, it becomes distracting. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I do try and stick to it. 4 colours at the most. I prefer 3. Once they were all coloured, I thought I'd see what they'd look like with a torch. So I turned the lights out and thought I'd show you how bright they are in the dark. This is just a UV torch. I was moving the torch around so that I could get a good angle for the video without the torch shining too bright that it distracted the video. Hopefully you can see. So it's time for the final top coat, and I decided to use polyurethane resin from Let's Resin. Again, the discount code is on the screen and the link will be in the description box below. This cures white and it is extremely fast. Now I know that any colour, any bright colour would do best with black behind it, but these are not micas, they are bright but they are neon, and as they are light colours they are going to need white behind them. So I figured I'd use polyurethane, but not just that. But not leaving it there, I decided to try and mix some of these bright neon colours into the polyurethane. Now you don't get very much time when you're mixing this stuff, you have 30 seconds. So I got all the powders ready for me to pour polyurethane when mixed into the powder, and I mixed them extremely fast, not actually knowing if they'd work, if they'd dissolve, and boy was it messy. I was getting it everywhere. However, I did get them to mix. I did get 3 very cool colours, and I poured them into the mould in time. Now it was going everywhere. I was making a right mess. You can see by the table that I was quite stressed out with this. I really knew I had to work fast, and those little cups that I'm using were not the best because they were just pouring it all over the side and on the table and everywhere. I used the pin to make sure the fingers or the toes were fully covered in the resin. And then I decided once I'd filled the mould up that I could then clean up. So I grabbed some cotton buds and I tried to wipe up all the spilled overpour, which actually worked quite well, to be fair. And it was less stressful by that time because I'd already filled the mould up. Then it was time to move on to the newt. And I had my 3 colours, purple, pink and blue, ready and waiting for the polyurethane resin. Now, I don't know what happened here, but I think I was spending a little bit too long stirring. You only get 30 seconds, like I said, and I'd already spent a few seconds actually mixing the polyurethane in the first place. So when it came to mixing in the colours, I just think I spent a little bit too long with it. Maybe after the success of the first one, I figured I had a little bit more breathing time. Actually, I didn't. I was bang on the time with the frog. And that definitely gave me a false sense of security. So I got to the pouring part. At least it was still liquid. I poured the blue in first, and then the pink or magenta, and then the purple. Now the foot on the right is quite awkward on this mould. It has to be exactly straight, otherwise it doesn't sit right. So I moved it and thought, right, now I'll top it up. I did, however, get to do the pins in the feet with the blue and the purple to try and get that polyurethane in the toes. And then I picked up the purple just to top it up, and you can see it's already going white. Too late. But the colours are fantastic in the dark. They are so wicked. I love them. About 40 minutes later and these can be demoulded. And I'm quite impressed with how these colours look. The polyurethane really took the powder well. So let's have a look at the finished piece. Once I squished him out of the mould. Now I knew the head was going to be clear, but I was hoping the colour would shine through it. I absolutely love him. Now he is mottled, he is patchy, and I think it works really well. I don't quite understand why it's so patchy. All the little bits just flick off, by the way. I managed to clean up the mould quite well. I don't quite understand why he's so patchy, and he is very patchy. But I think it looks like frog skin, even with the orange feet. I'm sure there's orange frogs out there. I absolutely loved this. The yellow kind of got lost a bit, but I love it. His blue eyes pop. His colours are magnificent, very bright, very colourful. And I think he's just wonderful. So what about the newt? Again, 40 minutes later, and there is quite a lot of overspill on this one. But I'm still eager to see, especially this purple, how he came out. And he is very bizarre. Again, very patchy, but it looks like his skin, you know, it looks like he should be that patchy. Bizarrely coloured, but I still think he's cute. I did, however, have an accident with his foot. While I was trimming him up, I managed to cut off one of his toes. But he's still adorable, and although my favourite is the frog, I cannot believe how these colours shine in a UV light in the dark. They are just so bright. This project has been so much fun, and I hope you've got something out of it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Come back and see me next week, because you never know what I'm going to be up to. I never know what I'm going to be up to. Have a great week. Happy crafting, and bye for now.